Okay, next up we have the search engine setting, and this really lets you control which search provider handles queries from the address bar and other search boxes in the browser. Okay, so you can control your default search engine. So by default, obviously, it's going to be set to Perplexity, but you can change this, and you can move from Perplexity to Google or Microsoft Bing, which is really just Chat GPT. Yahoo or DuckDuckGo. We have a number of options here, and then you can select your preferred engine. So here we can come down here, manage search engines and site search. We can expand this, and there's a whole slew of options here. You can select your preferred engine. You can define what kind of results you want to see first, whether it's fast AI summaries, whether it's deep source citations. Remember that Perplexity has well, I guess I would call it a fast AI summary search, which is the default, or it has a deep research. Okay, you can always choose deep research for deep sources, deep research and deep source citations. And then this is really useful if you prefer a traditional search for finding websites. Maybe you like the way Google does its searches. Well, you could drop back to that for product pages or recent news, versus advanced AI for research. I think over time, I am moving away from normal Google type searches. I will sometimes go back to Google and just do a normal Google search, but boy, I would say 90% plus of my searches now are in Perplexity, and they're AI type searches, but you can personalize that here. All right, and then we have the infamous default, or the very popular and common default browser. What default browser do you want to make Comet your default browser? You may notice that most browsers are they're unrelenting on wanting you to make sure their browser is set to the default. In fact, you're going to find Comet kind of does the same thing. You're going to see the reason you didn't see it on my homepage is because I've already got it set as my default browser. But you can come here and say, yes, make Comet my default browser. Okay, we're making our way through here, all of these settings, and then on startup, you can choose to open a new tab page. You can choose to continue where you left off. This is where I typically like to be. I want to pick up right where I left off. I don't often shut my browser down though, unless my computer restarts. But yeah, if I do, I want to continue where I left off, or you can open a specific page or set of pages. Then we have a languages setting, where you can set your preferred language. So websites in your languages, you can add a language. Of course, I've got mine set to English. And then for Google Translate, for translation, you can choose Google Translate. And that's what I've got mine set at. Google Translate, I have found, does a pretty good job. It didn't initially, but it's gotten better over time. So anyway, you can set a number of language-specific settings here. And then there is a downloads setting, where you can control where the downloads occur, where all of everything that you download, what folder is it going to be put in. This is where I usually put everything. And then you can also choose to have Comet ask you where you want it, the download saved after each download. And then you can optionally show downloads when they're done, and I've got that set to yes, that's the way I want that to work. And then we have some accessibility options. Show a quick highlight on the focused object, navigate pages with a text cursor, swipe between pages. You can work through this and set this however you want to. Copy to clipboard confirmation, and then add accessibility features. You can open the Chrome Web Store and add various accessibility features. Right, and then we have the System tab. We're almost through this, and you can have Comet continue running background apps when Comet is closed. That's very, very useful. Use graphics acceleration when possible. You'll want to set that to yes. Most modern laptops have significant graphics accelerators built into them. And then open your computer's proxy settings. What that means is the browser will take you to your operating system's native proxy configuration panel, whether it's Windows or Mac OS. And basically, a proxy server acts as a middleman between your browser and the internet. So it handles web traffic for added privacy, security, access control, or to meet various work or corporate network requirements. So I'm not really going to get into that here, but that's essentially what that means. I can come down here to reset the settings, and then this will reset settings to their original default. And then we have extensions. I won't get into extensions here. Extensions are much the same as they are in Chrome. And then we've got the About Comet, and this is the current. Now, by the time you see this, no doubt this will be changed many, many times from what you see here. But as of mid-August, the Perplexity build 12531, that doesn't really mean anything to you or I, but this is the current version of Comet. Now, one thing to keep in mind as we're going through this course, and we're going through a number of these features and so on, this is going to change pretty quickly. Now, I'm going to do my best to keep this course up to date, but we're not even in official production release yet, although Perplexity is rolling this out as we speak. I would expect a number of changes. I don't think we're going to see significant wholesale changes in the way things look or operate, but you may see subtle differences between what I'm covering in a particular lecture and what you're currently seeing on the on your page. And also, it's quite likely we're going to run into some bugs. For example, set Comet as the default. Well, I've already done this one time, and it's asking me to do it again. Okay, so anyway, we're back at the home page here, and we've gone through the settings, so we've covered that. Let's move on now to the next topic.